Carl and Damon here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. And they made what into a TV series. And this is a major, wait, they made what into a TV series? And it was during that brief period where Shenmue came back and Shenmue 3 was being released and it looked like Shenmue was going to take over the world. How did that turn out? Hey, I'm not laughing at it because I love Shenmue, but it was just kind of hilarious to sort of see it all crash and burn, to some significance, yeah, like, yeah, it didn't exactly pan out as we expected, did it?
We'll still get. There'll still be a Shenmue 4.
If you say so.
Do you know how many years I was saying to you there'll be a Shenmue 3, and you always said, no, there'll never be a Shenmue 3, and it came. Yeah, I know it didn't do as well as everyone expected,
Yeah,
but from what I've been reading, there's still it's still number 4 is in development.
I'm sure it has every possibility of happening. However, you take something into account. The whole what brought Shenmue back from the dead was nostalgia. Uh, there's a lot of it around, hence why you see so many remasterings and remakes and all of that as of today. We get more and more of that stuff. There's been a lot of them, remakes and re-ideas. And Shenmue uh rolled with that. That no longer exists. That's the problem. But anyway, let's not get into the ifs and buts about whether or not the game franchise will have a future. It exists regardless, and the first game is a piece of my iconic history, personal history. It is yours as well. We should not ignore that. So the idea of seeing that and a sequel adapted into an animated TV show was certainly intriguing to me. I was quite excited to see how they were going to tell the story and add stuff to make the narrative work in a show format. Because think about the game. If we're talking about Shenmue 1 specifically, think about the game. There's a whole lot of walking around there just asking people if they've seen sailors. That is going to be slow. So I'm saying, like, how do you take that's an interesting one?
Spending a whole month at the toy capital machine.
Yeah. Excuse me while I just go play Space Harrier for a week. you know? Yeah, it isn't really going to work. It should be too has plenty of slow stuff as well. So none of that was really going to work. So I was quite intrigued by that. But what we're going to do is we always do with this show is we're going to do this episode by episode, talk you through what the experience is like and what we think of it as we go along. So yeah, Shenmue the Animation, also simply known as Shenmue, is an anime television series based on the Shenmue video game series by Yu Suzuki and published by Sega, of course. The show is a co-production between Crunchyroll and Adult Swim. And the series aired from February to May 2022. The anime series adapts the storyline of the first two games, 1999 Shenmue and 2001's Shenmue 2. So I guess, right, let's talk to someone who has never played Shenmue. And I completely understand there's many people that wouldn't have. And even if they did now, they may not get it. I'd imagine that was a major problem for a lot of people who might have picked up the HD re-releases, having heard the buzz and thought, wait, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, the effective story is it's around a character named Ria Hazuki, who witnessed his father's murder at his family dojo by a mysterious man named Lan Di. The story is one based in revenge. At least in the game, based heavily in revenge, as Rio investigates and tries to find out who Landy is, what his father was involved in, why it cost him his life, and so on. And it kind of leaves his small town to the streets of Yokozuka, Japan, into Hong Kong and beyond. And then there's also a kind of mystical edge to this, a fantastical edge to this as well, involving prophecies. And of course, all wrapped up in a kind of martial arts story, action, combat side of things. The games could be quite slow. Combat was heavy in places, heavy on QTEs and things like that. But that's the basic gist of Shenmue, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, how have you watched this show? So I didn't even realize that you could watch this show with English speakers. I did not even know that when I started to watch it. So I've been watching it with Japanese voice actors. So I've chosen to stick to that.
Yeah, I'm the same. Most of these like Japanese and like South Korean films, I always do it with the Japanese and read the subtitles because that's how for me personally it should be how because it was made in my opinion, and I always feel that the dubbed English speaking it comes along terrible.
Right, I know what you're saying. Yes and no. Right, yes and no. I agree with you, except when the show hasn't been dubbed, it's been made with English speakers as well. Like that to
Hmm.
me is the biggest difference. It's not that it's being dubbed, it's that it's the same show but with English speakers. And why I would have preferred to start the show off in English is because I didn't play Shenmue with Japanese speakers. I played Shenmue with English speakers.
English speakers, yeah.
So I will admit, hearing Rio speak in what is quite a high-pitched Japanese tone at times, I find quite off-putting. Now I'm getting used to it, but at first I was like, "Ooh, I'm not sure about that,"
Yeah,
because obviously I'm not used to his voice. Now it's just me readjusting my mind to it and experiencing it from that. But I then noticed, oh, there are lots of English language speakers listed as well, voice actors who did the English version and stuff like that. But the version I found, which I'm watching on Crunchyroll on Amazon Prime, it doesn't have that option. So I'm doing it in Japanese. It's not a problem for me, but I probably would prefer to watch this with English speakers, I think.
yeah. I mean that was my biggest concern too. Is the fact that obviously I'm so I've from the Dreamcast version, I've developed my sound to Rio's voice and obviously all
Yeah,
the characters' voice, and it was obviously a bit of a shock and surprise to hear the high speaking pitch voice in obviously the
yeah.
TV series. Obviously, I know we were never going to get the original voice cast of the game, blah blah blah. I understand, I get that, and obviously it's very rare that happens, but I'm used to it now. So
Yeah, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It really isn't. But it's just something I wanted to sort of point out that you do, folks, you do have options out there. If you want to, if you don't want to listen to Japanese voices and read subtitles, there are options. You've got to find an English speaking version. So, of course, that gives us voice actors. Now, there's a long list, so I'm not doing them all. I'm just going to point out the three major players. Ryo Hazuki, voiced by Masaya Matsukaze, the Japanese one. Austin Tyndall, the English one. Landi, voiced by Takehiro Sakuori, the Japanese, and Scott Gibbs, English. And Shenhua, voiced by Haruku Teru, Japanese, and Natalie Royale in English. There's my three major players as far as I'm concerned. And before we kind of get into the episodes, this is it, folks. One and done. 13 episodes, and that is a lot. Because on September 28th, 2022, the Senior Vice President of Action and Anime Programming for Warner Brothers Discovery confirmed that the series would not be renewed for a second season after it was removed from Adult Swim's website. So if you're hoping for an adaptation of the third game, get lost. Ain't happening, bro. Ain't happening. One and done. Which, to be fair, I'm fine with.
I'm okay with it. I said I've seen the whole series all the way through, so I'm okay with it.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't see. I just see this as a fun little extra thing to have in the Shenmue world.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. Episode 1 is called Thunderclap, and immediately I want to say that the animation looks good, great, and they're hearing that theme, that familiar theme. It's a different take in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a different take in it. Is cool. However, I was a bit like, we're starting at the end, man. Don't do that. Why are we
Mm,
starting in the cave scene at the end of Shenmue 2 with
yeah.
Shenhua reciting the prophecy? It's like you're immediately like, we don't really want to win anyone new over here. Like this is just for people who know Shenmue already.
It's for the
Because
game,
I
for
think
the
that's
game
well,
plan.
I think that's well fucking confusing. If you're a new person who doesn't know Shenmue, you're like, you might even find it off-putting because it's like immediately revealing the prophecy, and it's like, but like my favorite part of Shenmue didn't necessarily relate to the fantastical stuff.
Mm.
There you go.
Was it driving forklift around the harbour?
Well, just that, just the
Yeah.
explorative real world aspects of it, you know?
Yeah.
The fact that it's set in November 1986 in Yokosuka, and Rio is going to a martial arts tournament, and this tournament will help Rio get into university. We see Rio talking to Fukusan, Ine-san, and his father a while. Meanwhile, at the same time, in Balui Village, Guilian, we see Shenhua. That's her life. Now, that's a new thing the show does, where we kind of see her pre the game, part of seeing her. So that's a nice touch. And I think I haven't
Yeah.
watched the show all the way through at the time of recording. So I'm quite intrigued to sort of see how we build her side of the story separate. And this is where the show has the opportunity to differentiate itself from the games as well.
Yeah, of course, because obviously in the games it's not going to show you that sort of thing. So yeah, I do like that little added in.
Yep, and it's nice to hear a kind of new arrangement on her theme as well. At the tournament, Rio kicks ass, defeating the last champion in the tournament with just one hit. That's a cool scene. I like how the animation fights are done. I like the
Yeah.
way it's kind of almost like with waves in the air and like everything. The way they do speed, it feels
Mm,
like things are fast.
yeah.
Everyone cheers as Rio wins. We then cut to a scene that's not from the game. Landy and his men driving at speed towards the Hazuki residence. Because, of course, Shenmue the game just kind of begins with, well, begins with a bit we're going to get to in a minute. Because before that, Rio's school haven't won the tournament, want to celebrate, but Rio goes off alone to continue training. We do get to see more of the town, Brrraains, as well as Tom and his hot dogs. It is weird hearing the Japanese voice come out of that guy. Because
Uh,
as well, like, obviously in the game, he was voiced by an American.
yeah, fair.
Rio enters Sakagoaka and notices that it has started to snow. He stops two bullies who you'll know from the game, Anoki and Nagashima from the game, and they do look good from the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They stop him from hurting Nozomi, who I thought I didn't know it was Nozomi at first. I was like, huh? Now, I remember the scene from the game, but I was like,
Yeah.
that looks different, you know?
Yeah, she definitely even her clothes wise is a bit different, and her face. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. From hurting Nozomi and a child. The scene is in the game, just not here. It's obviously later on in it. But it is a great way to introduce Rio as being a bit of a hero in life as well, helping
yeah,
people out and standing up to bullies. But also how Nozomi's like, Rio.
yeah.
She is more horny for him in this show than she is in the game.
In the game, you can't really tell. Even like when you save it at the end, it's still like the whole hugging scene in the motorbike. You can't really tell though.
No, you get the impression she's got romantic feelings, and in another life they could have developed something. But in here, they're like, no, we want you to know she likes him.
Yeah,
Now we finally get the opening of the game. Rio racing home, and for the most part, this looks and plays out the same. The broken sign, the door, the rain, the snow turning into rain, all of that. And even finding Inasan and then Fukusan being thrown out of the dojo. All of that looks great. I must
yeah,
say, because here we get a better look at Fukusan. I appreciate that they made Fukusan look less like an idiot than he does in the game. You know what I mean? Think about
yes,
Fukusan from the game.
yep. Annoying idiot.
Yes. And even as Iwar telling Rio to stay back and he and Landy fight over the location of this mysterious mirror that Landy wants. And then we get one of the more a change that I think is better. And I
Mm,
bet from the game perspective, writer perspective, but like that is so much smarter. Rio always has a little scar there as a plaster, and they never really explain it, do they, in the game?
nope.
Well, here they do. It's Landy. Rio tries to attack him, and Landy kind of cuts his face with his hand, cuts his face there. How
Hmm.
simple is that?
Yep.
And here we see the power of Landy as he easily dispatches Rio and uses him to extort the mirror out of his father, just like the game, basically threatening the life of Rio for his father to grow up. And then, of course, we get the, do you remember Zhao Sunming? That's the name of the man you killed. And then Landy kills Iwao. I'm saying his name
Right.
really
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
He dies telling Rio to keep friends, those you love, close to you, just like the the game, including
Yeah.
Rio's screaming for his father.
Spot on.
Something's missing here. I I noticed it, and I watched this episode twice. The epic music from the game, the
Mm,
music's missing here, and like no, and like that really building to his sort of screaming his father,
yeah.
like I felt like it's not here, so I felt like something was missing.
Mm,
We then see Landy telling his men to find the other mirror, as we then see Chai nearby overhearing things. I love how he's voiced in the Japanese version.
mm.
He's very Gollum-like, isn't he? He always was Gollum-like in the game as well.
Yeah, like always skulking around and stuff like yeah.
It's that's the way he speaks as well, isn't it? You know.
Mm.
Sometime after, we see the police have visited on investigating a murder. Ryu wants to do his own investigation, wanting to know why this happened to his father. Of course, just like the game, Inisan and Fukusan push back. We then cut to Nozomi at school, clearly concerned about Rio. So we get these little bits added in. And this is what I'm talking about when they get the chance to flesh things out a bit more that I'm quite happy with. Because we then see him sitting in a park reflecting on his father and even remember training with him. Now, we should say, I can't talk about everything from the game, but all the time, there are references to characters, NPCs, locations, all throughout
Yeah.
this that his long-term Shenmue fan can really, really enjoy. If I mentioned everyone would be here all day. Later, he walks through Debuita and he questions to himself if his father really killed a person. Nozomi now appears and talks with Rio, trying to comfort him. She invites Rio to eat at Tom's hot dog truck, and her growling stomach, followed by her denials of being hungry, amuses Rio. That's a cute scene.
Yeah.
They go off to Tom's, but he's closed as his food truck got damaged by a black car as it sped out of town. And this gets Rio's attention. And of course, all of this ties into the first part of everyone's Shenmue investigation, which is asking around about the black car and the man that wears the green Chinese outfit.
Yeah, literally one of the first people you speak to says that one of Tom's customers almost got hit, and Tom
Yep,
had an argument with him. So
yep. Yep, there it is. Because he did see the man in the back wearing a green luxury Chinese outfit. Um, Rio and Nozomi then go off to the Aichi restaurant, which of course exists in the game as well. And they talks with Nozomi about Lan Di and a character called Lusan. Now, Lusan, I had to look this up, but Lusan is in the game, but like he's not a character you interact with. But apparently he is actually one in the game.
okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yep. And when he overhears and suggests that the name Landy sounds like it could be for someone involved in the Chinese underworld or Chinese mafia, and it's probably not safe to get involved in this. Well, no, duh. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is our Chinese link, the start of our Chinese link, but just coming from a different angle. Because it normally starts with getting the letter first, and
Yeah,
then it
yeah.
goes. After, and as the sun sets, Nozomi asks Rio if he will return to school after everything has calmed down. And we do get that kind of Rio's not kind of sure. His focus is elsewhere, basically.
Mm.
They say their goodbyes and Rio heads home as the sun sets. Beautiful animation here. The show looks fantastic, but the sun setting stuff really looked great. At home, he notices the dojo door is ajar and gets attacked by Chai. Chai wants the other mirror, believing Rio has it, and is easily able to put him down. And as he taunts him, Rio thinks of his father's teaching and is able to fight and defeat Chai. I love this scene where the flashes and what it looks like, it's like a mirror with parts being rubbed off and speaking like that. Loved it.
Yeah.
Really, really cool look. After the Chai fight, Inisan and Fukusan again want to call the police, but Rio says no. He tells them, look, I need to find more about my father's past. You know, what was he involved in? Is he the man I even thought he was? But I have a problem here. I have a problem. And I'm going to bring it up in the next episode review as well. But here I'm going to bring it up. I'm not sure I love this calmer, less emotional Rio. This Rio seems
Mm.
a little bit too level-headed. Like Rio from the game was still a hothead. He'd flare up. He wanted revenge. He'd get angry. He'd get embarrassed. He'd get frustrated. He could
I'm
be
glad.
taken advantage of. But here, he feels older, like smarter. He's very calm. He's approaching all of this with a sort of level head. And I'm like, no, where's the idiot running around asking for sailors in dangerous? Just what I'm saying? It all feels a bit like
Yeah,
he's not quite the real I expect.
I'm glad to say that because obviously in the game, obviously he's more of a he's playing the more the role of the 15, 16-year-old kid he is. But in this TV show, he seems more like 20, 21, a bit older, a bit more mature, where he should be,
Yeah,
as you said, he should be more hot-headed and angry and
yeah.
stuff like, yeah.
More mature, that's what it is there. And I'm not sure I like it. Because it
Mm.
means certain aspects won't work if they come up in future if you're going to do this. So right
Yeah.
now that was my feelings. I like the voice acting, I like the animation, but I'm not entirely convinced by the character change. Anyway, with that, Inisan gives Yundazu's letter to Rio, so the all-important letter is now in there. Obviously, it's an important piece of Shenmue lore. And the episode ends with Rio, Shenmue, and Landy all looking at the moon. Love that touch of each of them in different areas looking at the moon, basically. Or when we hear
Yep.
Shenmue reciting the prophecy. Yeah, I mean, it's a great opening episode that really shows the dedication to the game's aspects, but also shows how they can use their imagination, creativity to add parts to it that will flesh it out and maybe make Shenmue, the game, even feel bigger than it was. When we now reflect
Yeah.
on the future and attach elements of the show together, you'll be like, okay, no, this actually feels like there's more going on in it. But it's a great introduction, and I think for people who don't know the game, they could watch this and enjoy it as well.
Yeah, I agree. I also think like that for new people who don't know the game, this could potentially give you the urge to, do you know what? I want to play the game and see and try and mash the elements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Experience this for yourself. And this is just a start, so we aren't getting as many fights, so many action, and as much story development as we will. But it is a great start. And I do, like I said, I stand by what I say. I think it's for fans more than anything else. But if you are a fan of Shenmue, how could you be disappointed with this?
yeah.
Episode 1, Thunderclap. You got any thoughts on this? You want to share with us? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.